Hello everyone, myself Mr. Jangle Sanket, lecturer from Mula Education Society's Mula Rural Institute of Pharmacy. Today we are going to discuss the chapter Emulsion, a biphasic liquid dosage forms of emulsions. This chapter contains the definition of emulsions, advantages and disadvantages of emulsions, classification of emulsion, formulation part, method of preparation of emulsions, identification tests for emulsion, and stability of emulsions. Now we will start with the definition and introduction of the emulsion. Generally, emulsions are thermodynamically unstable biphasic liquid dosage forms containing two immiscible liquids, one of which is dispersed as a minute globules into the another. Means it is an thermodynamically unstable, means it is not having a proper equilibrium or it is not in the equilibrium. And biphasic liquid dosage form means which is the dosage form which consists of the two phases, and that two phases are immiscible liquids in which one is dispersed as a minute globule into the another. The liquid which is converted into minute globules is called as the dispersed phase, and the liquid in which the globules are dispersed is called as the continuous phase. Normally, two immiscible liquids cannot be dispersed for a long period, so an emulsifying agent is added to the system. It forms a film around the globules in order to scatter them indefinitely in the continuous phase so that a stable emulsion is formed. The globule size in emulsion varies from 0.25 to 25 micrometer in a diameter. Emulsions having large globules are called as the coarse emulsions, and while those having globules of 5 micrometer are considered to be a fine emulsions. The emulsions having globule size as small as 10 nanometer are known as the microemulsions. These emulsions are milky and transparent. The whiteness of an emulsion is due to the reflections and refractions at many interfaces. If the two phases have a same refractive index, a transparent emulsion is produced. Now, starting with the advantages of emulsions. First one, the medicines which have unpleasant taste and odor can be made more palatable for oral administration in the form of an emulsion. Example, castor oil, cod liver oil, etc. Second one is the economical. Economical means which is easy available and less in a price. Third one is the improved bioavailabilities. Generally, emulsion improves the absorption of oil when taken internally. Nutritional supplements. The sterile stable intravenous emulsions containing fats, carbohydrates, and vitamins can be administered to the patients who are unable to take them orally. Diagnostic purpose. Nowadays, radio opaque emulsions are used as a diagnostic agent in X-rays examinations. Various external preparations such as creams, lotions, and foam aerosols are formulated in an emulsion. Now, starting with the classification of emulsions. Now, these emulsions has classified by the various methods. However, from the dispensing point of view and its mode of administrations, emulsion can be classified as a emulsion according to the emulsifying agents, and second one, classification of emulsions in accordance to their mode of administration. Now, first of all, we will see the according to the emulsifying agents. Now, in this, the emulsion is classified into 8 types. First one is the emulsions containing natural gums. Example, gum acacia, tragacanth, mucilage of Irish moss, etc. Second one is the emulsion containing gum substitute. Example, cellulose, salts of alginic acids. Third one Emulsions containing various soap. Emulsions containing a soap substances, emulsions containing saponins, emulsions containing starch, emulsion containing natural waxes, example wool fat and beeswax, emulsions containing synthetic waxes, in that emulsifying wax, etc., and emulsion containing emulsifying agent such as pectin, egg yolk, gelatin, and lecithins. Now, according to the mode of administration, emulsions are classified according to their mode of administration in a four classes. First one is the emulsions for oral administrations. These are usually a O by W type of emulsions and are used to administer oils having medicinal values. Example: castor oil, olive oil, almond oil, cod liver oil, and liquid paraffin, etc. Emulsions for external use. This may be either O by W type or W by O type. However, O by W type of emulsions are preferred over a W by O type of emulsions. Third one, emulsions for parenteral use. These are used to administer fat soluble vitamins such as A, D, E, and oil soluble sex hormones because their absorption in this form is very rapid. Emulsions for rectal use. These are used in the form of enema for the evacuation of bowel. Starch mucilage is generally used in the preparation of enema. Now, starting with the another important point, formulation of emulsions. The formulation of emulsions contains four ingredients or four substances. In that, first one is the emulsifying agents, second one is the preservatives, third one is the antioxidants, and fourth one is the flavoring agents. Now, qualities required for a good emulsifying agent. It should reduce the surface it should reduce the surface tension, means it should be capable of reducing the surface tension or the interfacial tension between the two immiscible liquids. It should be compatible with other ingredients for the preparation. It should be a non-toxic. It should be capable to produce and maintain the required consistency of the emulsion. It should be chemically stable. It should be capable of keeping the globules of dispersion liquid distributed indefinitely throughout the medium. These are the qualities of good emulsifying agents. Classification of emulsifying agents. Now these emulsifying agents are classified in a various sources or in a various classes. Now we will start with the first class, natural emulsifying agents. These emulsifying agents are classified as natural emulsifying agents which are obtained from the vegetable sources. In these are the carbohydrates which includes gums and mucilaginous substances. They are anionic in nature and produces O by W type of emulsion. The emulsions prepared from these emulsifying agents need suitable preservatives to preserve them because the carbohydrate acts as a medium of bacterial growth. The examples of these emulsifying agents are gum acacia, tragacanth, agar, starch, pectin, and Irish moss. Now we will see the acacia. It is considered to be the best emulsifying agents for the extemporaneous preparation of emulsions for internal use. Emulsions prepared with the gum acacia are attractive in appearance, quite palatable, and relatively stable over a wide range of pH, that is 2 to 10. The emulsion prepared with gum acacia usually have low viscosity, therefore creaming takes place quite rapidly. In order to make a stable emulsion, the other emulsifying agents such as tragacanth, agar, pectin are also used along with the gum acacia, which increases the viscosity of the dispersion medium. Second example is the tragacanth. Tragacanth alone is rarely used in an emulsifying agent because it produces a very coarse and thick emulsion. The appearance and stability of the emulsion can be improved by passing the emulsion through the homogenizer. A stable emulsion can also be produced if tragacanth is used along with a gum acacia as an emulsifying agent. Another example is the agar. It is not a good emulsifying agent as it forms a very coarse and viscous emulsion. It, it is used as emulsifying agent by preparing 2% mucilage by dissolving in boiling water and cool to 45 degrees Celsius. Another example is the starch. Starch mucilage is rarely used because it forms a coarse emulsions. It is generally used to prepare the enemas. Pectin, it is used as an emulsifying agent by preparing 1% mucilage in a water. It is incompatible with alkalis, strong alcohols, tannic acid and salicylic acid. And last example from vegetable source is the Irish moss. It is used as a thickening agent. It is used along with the acacia for the emulsification of cod liver oil to mask the unpleasant taste and odor of the oil. Its 3% solution is used to emulsifying an equal volume of the oil. Now starting with the another source, natural emulsifying agents from animal sources. First example is the wool fat. It is generally used in emulsion which are meant for external use. It produces O by W type of emulsion and can absorb about 50% of water. Egg yolk. It is mainly used in extemporaneous preparation meant for internal use because it gets spoiled during transportation. The emulsion prepared with egg yolk require proper preservation and storage in a refrigerator. It is used as an emulsifying agent in the concentration of 12 to 15%. Gelatin. It is used in the concentration of 1% as emulsifying agent. It is mainly used for the emulsification of liquid paraffin. The emulsion prepared with gelatin is quite white and have an agreeable taste but needs proper preservation because emulsions are prone to the bacterial growth. Now starting with the another type, semi-synthetic polysaccharides. The semi-synthetic polysaccharides consist of a methyl cellulose and sodium carboxymethyl cellulose. Now we will see the methyl cellulose. It is a synthetic derivative of cellulose. It is widely used as suspending, thickening and emulsifying agent in the concentration of 2%. It is commonly used for emulsification of mineral and vegetable oils but gets precipitate in the presence of large amount of electrolytes. Second one is the sodium carboxymethyl cellulose. It is used as an emulsion stabilizer in the concentration of 0.5 to 1%. It is soluble in both cold and hot water. Another type is the synthetic emulsifying agents. This synthetic, it is classified into three types: anionic, cationic and non-ionic. Now we will see the first one, anionic. Various alkali soaps, metallic soaps are used as anionic emulsifying agent. Soap emulsions are used for external application. Sodium lauryl sulfate is commonly used as an emulsifying agent among the sulfated alcohols. It produces O by W type of the emulsions. Cationic, the quaternary ammonium compounds such as benzalkonium chloride, benzothionium chloride are used as an cationic emulsifying agent. These cationic surface active agents bear positive charge on them. They are mainly used in the preparation of external use such as skin, lotions and creams. Another one is the non-ionic emulsifying agent. The glyceryl esters such as glyceryl monostearate, sorbitan fatty acid esters such as sorbitan monopalmitate are commonly used non-ionic surface active agents. They are widely used in the preparation of pharmaceutical emulsions because emulsions prepared with non-ionic surfactants remain stable over a wide range of pH changes. Another one is the inorganic emulsifying agents. Several inorganic substances such as milk of magnesia, magnesium oxide, and magnesium ammonium salicylate are used to prepare coarse emulsion. Bentonite is used to prepare the O by W or W by O type of emulsion. When bentonite is used to prepare O by W type of emulsion, oil is added to the suspension of bentonite, whereas when it is used to prepare W by O type of emulsion, oil is placed in the container and then bentonite suspension is added to the oil with rapid stirrings. Another one is the alcohols. In alcohol, it consists of the carboxyls, cholesterol, and lecithin. Now we will see a carboxyls. These are mainly used in the preparation of ointment and creams. Carboxyls having molecular weight between 200 to 700 are viscous, light colored, hygroscopic liquid, whereas carboxyls with a molecular weight 1000 and above are wax like solids. A product of desired consistency can be prepared by using right type of carboxyls or a mixture of carboxyls. Another one is the cholesterol. In this category, cetyl alcohol, stearyl alcohol, cholesterol, and glyceryl monostearates are used to stabilize the emulsion. They are used only with some other emulsifying agents. And lecithins, which forms O by W type of emulsion, is rarely used as an emulsifying agent because it darkens in color when exposed to light and get easily oxidized. Now we'll start with the another ingredient in a formulation is the preservation of emulsions, means preservatives which are added to the emulsions. Generally, emulsions which are prepared by using emulsifying agent such as carbohydrates, proteins, sterols, non-ionic surfactants may lead to the growth of bacteria, fungus, mold in the presence of water. The contamination of emulsion by these microorganisms may cause unpleasant odor, taste, and discoloration. Due to breakdown of an emulsifying agent, changes occurs in the consistency and of an emulsion which may lead to the cracking of the emulsion. So therefore it is need to include the preservatives. Now the various sources of contamination which may occur due to the one of the following reason. First one is the equipment used in the preparation of emulsions are carelessly cleaned. By using a contaminated natural emulsifying agent such as gum, starch or glaze, the ratio of water and oil is not proper. By using not properly stored deionized and purified water, pH of the preparation. So these are the sources of contamination. Now the following steps can be used to minimize or to prevent the contamination of the emulsion. First one, use thoroughly clean equipments. Use ingredients of standard quality. Maintain the prescribed ratio of oil, water and gum while preparing the emulsions. Use freshly boiled and cooled water to destroy microorganisms. Use containers and closures of good quality. The closure should be fit well on the container. Maintain the prescribed pH of the preparation. In order to preserve an quality is required in a good preservative. Low toxicity, stable to heat and storage, chemical compatibility, reasonable cost, and acceptable taste, odor, and color. In order to preserve an emulsion properly, it is desirable that, along with maintaining above such precautions, to avoid contamination, a suitable preservative also includes in the formulation of an emulsion. During storage of emulsion, the fats and the emulsifying agents undergoes oxidation by atmospheric oxygen. This can be avoided by using antioxidants such as tocopherol, gallic acid, ascorbic acid, etc. Sometimes oxidation occurs due to the enzyme produced by a microorganism. Such problem should be prevented by adding suitable antimicrobial preservatives. Now, starting with the another ingredient or another formulation part, antioxidants. During storage of emulsion, the fats and the emulsifying agents undergoes oxidation by the atmospheric oxygen. This can be avoided by using the antioxidants. Sometimes this oxidation also occurs due to the enzyme. So, some qualities of an antioxidant should be maintained. It should be readily soluble or dispersible in the medium. It should be effective in a low concentration. It should be non-toxic. It should be non-irritant. It should be compatible with other ingredients to form an emulsion, and it should be colorless, odorless and tasteless. The examples of antioxidants: gallic acid, propyl gallate, ascorbic acid, butylated hydroxytoluene, butylated hydroxynisol in the range of 0.001 to 0.1 percentage. Now, flavoring agent. Vanillin is a good flavoring agent for liquid paraffin emulsions. Benzaldehyde is generally used as flavoring agent for cod liver oil of the emulsion. A combination of flavoring agent and sweetening agent provides greater palatability to the emulsion. Now, starting with the methods of preparation of emulsions. The following methods are commonly used for the preparation of emulsions on a small scale. First one is the dry gum method, wet gum method, bottle method, and other methods is the homo. Now, we will start with the first method, dry gum method. In this method, there are the following steps, or some steps are given. In that, the first step is to measure the required quantity of oil in a dry measure and transfer it into a dry mortar. Then, add the calculated quantity of gum acacia into it and triturate rapidly so as to form a uniform mixture. Then add required quantity of water and triturate vigorously till a clicking sound is produced and the product becomes white or nearly white due to the total internal reflection of light. The emulsion produced at this stage is known as the primary emulsion. Then add more water to produce the required volume. In this various methods, a proportion of oil, water, and gum acacia required for different types of oils. According to their proportion, the gum, oil, and water should be added. Second method is the wet gum method. In this method, the proportion of oil, water, gum for preparing a primary emulsion is that same of the dry gum method. So, in this method also, we have to first calculate the quantity of oil, water, gum required for preparing the primary emulsion. Then powder the gum acacia in a mortar and then add water and triturate it with gum so as to form a mucilage. Add the required quantity of oil in small portions. With rapid trituration, a clicking sound is produced and the product becomes white or nearly white. At this stage, the emulsion is known as the primary emulsion. Then add more water in small portions to the primary emulsion with trituration to produce the required volume. Stir thoroughly so as to form the uniform emulsion and then transfer this emulsion to a bottle, cork, label and dispense. Now The third method is the bottle method. In the bottle method, it is used for the preparation of emulsion of volatile and other non-viscous oils. The proportion of oil, water and gum is 2:2:1. In this method, first we have to measure the required quantity of oil and transfer it into a large bottle. Add the required quantity of powdered gum acacia. Shake the bottle vigorously until the oil and gum are mixed thoroughly. Then add the calculated amount of water at once. Shake the mixture vigorously to form a primary emulsion. Add more of water in small portions with constant agitation to produce the required volume. Now, the other methods. Various blenders and homogenizers are used in the preparation of emulsions. Hand homogenizer, Silverstone mixer homogenizer are some of the homogenizers which are used in the preparation of extemporaneous emulsion. The homogenizers are based on the principle of that the large globules in coarse emulsions are broken into the smaller globules by passing them under the pressure through a narrow orifice. Now we will see the hand homogenizer. The homogenizer is hand operated and the coarse emulsion is passed through the fine orifice. The emulsion is placed in a hopper of the homogenizer. The up and down movement of the handle causes coarse emulsion to draw in the thorough inlet valve and pass through homogenizing valve. In this way, the emulsion is forced to pass through the fine orifice. The oil globules are broken into the fine globules of the uniform size. Another one is the Silverstone mixer homogenizer. It consists of an emulsifier head which is converted with a fine mesh stainless steel sieves. The emulsifier head of a number of blades which rotate at a very high speed in order to produce a powerful shearing action. The blades are rotated by using an electric motor fitted on the top. The emulsifier head is placed in a vessel containing immiscible liquids in such a way that it should get deep into it. When the motor is started, the liquids are sucked through the fine holes and the oil is reduced into the fine globules due to the rotation of blades. So, a fine emulsion is produced which is then expelled out. The intake and explosion of the mixture is set up pattern of a circulation. Now, we will start with the test for identification of the type of emulsion. In this method, there are the following tests which are used to distinguish the O by W and W by type of the emulsion. Now, first method is the dilution test. The emulsion is diluted with the water. In case the emulsion remains stable after its dilution, it's a O by W type of emulsion. The W by O type of emulsion breaks on its dilution with water but remains stable when it is diluted with a oil. Second one is the fluorescence test. There are many oils which glow in the presence of UV light. Certain fixed oil possesses the physical properties of fluorescence in the presence of ultraviolet radiation. On microscopic observation of emulsion under ultraviolet radiation, the whole field fluorescence indicates that oil is present in a continuous phase, that is W by O type of emulsion, and droplet fluorescence indicates that oil is present in a dispense phase, that is O by W type of emulsion. Third test is the conductivity test. Water is a good conductor of electricity, whereas oil is a non-conductor of electricity. The conductivity test can be performed by dipping the pair of electrodes connected through a low voltage bulb in the emulsion. If the bulb glows on passing the electric current, the emulsion is O by W type because water is in the continuous phase. In case the bulb does not glow, the emulsion is W by O type of emulsion because oil is in the continuous phase. Another one, dye test. The scarlet red dye is mixed with the emulsion. Place the drop of emulsion on the microscopic slide. Cover it with a cover slip and examine it under a microscope. If the dispersed globule appear red and the ground colorless, then it is the O by W type of emulsion. The reverse condition occurs in a W by O type of the emulsion. That is, the dispersed globules appears colorless in the red ground. Cobalt chloride paper test. Anhydrous cobalt is blue in color and hydrous cobalt is red or pink in a color. When this cobalt chloride paper is deep in emulsion, if the color changes from blue to ring, preparation contains water in a continuous phase, so the type is the O by W type of the emulsion. Stability of emulsions. An emulsion is said to be stable if it remains as such after its preparation, that is, dispersed globules are uniformly distributed throughout the dispersion medium during its storage. The emulsion should be chemically stable and there should not be any bacterial growth during its shelf life. There are the following three changes usually occurs during the storage of an emulsion. First one is the cracking, second one is the creaming, and third one is the phase inversion. Now we will see the first one, cracking of the emulsion. Cracking means the separation of two layers of the dispersed and continuous phase due to the coalescence of dispersed phase globules which are difficult to redisperse by shaking. Cracking may occur due to the following reasons. First one, by addition of emulsifying agent of opposite type. Soaps of monovalent metals produces O by W type of emulsions, whereas soaps of divalent metal produces W by O type of emulsions. But the addition of monovalent soap to a divalent soap emulsion or a divalent soap to a monovalent soap emulsion leads to the cracking of emulsion. Second one is the by decomposition or precipitation of an emulsifying agent. When an acid is added to an alkali soap emulsion, it causes the decomposition of an emulsifying agent and thus leads to the cracking of an emulsion. Similarly, when sodium chloride is added to the sodium or potassium soap emulsion, it leads to the precipitation of emulsifying agent and thus cracking of emulsion takes place. Third one is by addition of a common solvent. When a solvent is added to an emulsion which is either miscible with or dissolve the dispersed phase, the emulsifying agent and continuous phase, there is the formation of one phase or a clear solution. This leads to the cracking of an emulsion. For example, an addition of alcohol to turpentine liniment leads to the formation of clear solution because turpentine oil, soft soap and water are soluble in alcohol. Fourth one is the by microorganisms. If emulsions are not stored properly, they may develop bacterial and mold growth. This may lead to the destruction of emulsifying agent and cause cracking of emulsion. Therefore, it is desirable that all emulsions which are required to be stored for a long period should be suitably preserved. Change in a temperature. When emulsions are stored for a longer time, an increase in a temperature may reduce the viscosity of emulsion and encourage creaming. When emulsions are stored at a very low temperature, freezing of its water content into the ice and subsequent melting of the ice and by shaking may reform the emulsions. Now the another point is the creaming of emulsions. Creaming may be defined as the upward movement of the dispersed globules to form a thick layer at the surface of the emulsion is known as the creaming. Creaming is temporary phase because it can be redistributed by mild shaking or stirring to get again a homogeneous emulsion. As far as possible, creaming of an emulsion should be avoided because it may lead to the cracking with complete separation of two phases. According to the Stokes law, the rate of creaming depends on the number of factors which can be explained by V is equals to 2R square in bracket D1 minus D2 bracket complete G divided by 9 rho, where V is the rate of creaming, R is the radius of globules, D1 is the density of dispersed phase, D2 is the density of continuous phase, G is the gravitational constant, and rho is the viscosity of dispersion medium. Now the factors affecting creaming. First one is the radius of globules. The rate of creaming is directly proportional to the radius of globules. Larger the size of globules, the more will be creaming, and smaller the size of the globules, lesser will be the creaming. Hence, the small globules will rise less quickly than the large globules. Hence, creaming can be reduced by reducing the size of globules by passing the emulsion through a homogenizer. Second one is the difference in density of dispersed phase and continuous phase. The rate of creaming depends upon the difference between the densities of the dispersed phase and continuous phase. Greater the difference, more will be the creaming. This difference can be reduced, but it is not desirable because it does not require therapeutically. Viscosity of the dispersion medium. The rate of creaming is inversely proportional to the viscosity of the dispersion medium. The viscosity can be increased by adding tragacan and methyl cellulose, but too much viscosity is undesirable because it may become difficult to disperse the material which have settled at the bottom. Moreover, it is difficult to pour the emulsion from the container. Fourth one is the storage condition. The emulsion should be stored in a cool place because the rise in a temperature reduces the viscosity, which may lead to creaming. The freezing should be avoided because it may lead to the cracking. Third point is the phase inversion. Phase inversion means the change of one type of emulsion into the another type. That is, oil in water emulsion changes in the water in oil type and vice versa. It may be due to the following reasons: by addition of an electrolyte, by changing the phase volume ratio, by temperature change, by changing the emulsifying agent, etc. The phase inversion can be minimized by keeping the concentration of dispersed phase between 30 to 60%, storing the emulsion in a cool place, and by using a proper emulsifying agent in a adequate concentration. Here we are ending with the chapter emulsions. Hope you will understand this chapter. Thank you very much.